So yeah, world record, did that in August. It was a little bit of a shock for a lot of people because I'd kind of, it was genuine. A lot of people said, oh, you did that for marketing purposes when you did that live video, and said you weren't going to do any more. That was it. You were kind of retiring. But it was genuine. 2 years ago next month was when I did the first world record, and I took a bit of time after that, and then I had a desire to look at a few other things. And I hit injuries 3 points, so trained for like 3-4 months, got up to a really high level, got an injury, and then it was literally starting back from scratch again. And it's just it's so unforgiving when you've put that much effort in and you're back to scratch. So I started to lose the desire a bit. And I've always said, I didn't have a point to prove. I know what I was capable of. I knew I could beat that Guinness World Record. And I think it's this balance of wanting to push yourself, and then also, am I doing this just purely out of ego? And I was kind of had this, why am I doing this? Am I doing it to inspire people, or is this just purely for the wrong reason?
Okay, so let's just backtrack a little bit for anyone who's not listened to the first one. So Stephen basically did 2 back-to-back Ironman without any rest, and that's what got you the world record. But a big motivator for you during that like pretty challenging period was your mum had recently passed away, and you knew your mum was getting towards the end as you were doing your training, and that was a big sort of source of inspiration to you. And also at that point, you'd not really done anything like that either. So you were proving it to yourself, and you were kind of proving to the world to an extent that you're triple hard bastard, basically. And once you've done that, and you kept training for various other events, and then getting the injury, you basically stood back and you're questioning, what the fuck am I doing this for? Like, yeah. You know what you're capable of, you know, what's the kind of motivation. And you mentioned the live video. You'd actually done a live video a few weeks only before you were due to do the Guinness attempt. It basically says, I'm done. You'd been out training, I think you'd done half an Ironman.
Half Ironman, yeah.
And you just said, you know what, I've got nothing to prove. I fucking hate this. I'm miserable, and I'm not doing it. You basically threw your toys out the pram, didn't you? Yeah,
it was more, I don't think it was out of, I was content with my decision. Just going around, I just thought, why am I doing this? There's no drive there. And I'm a big believer in being in line with your desire. And then when Gemma called me out, because I'd only 8 weeks before that had an injury, and I was progressing at a rate way too quick than what I probably should have. And Ronnie, if you obviously know Ronnie, he was just saying, this is ridiculous. My dad was saying, you can't go off a static bike to doing 60 mile on the road within a week. But I just know that all that's in the mind. And then that night, Gemma came home and just called me out on it. And
what did he say, Gemma?
Well, I hadn't seen the live. I'd been out, and I'd come home and he said, oh, have you seen my live? And I was like, no, not properly. And I said, I got a gist of it. And he said, yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to go ahead. And I was a bit like, And he was like, what does that mean? I was a bit like, well, I don't think you should not do it. And I think you've been a pussy, basically. And he was a bit like, well, why? And I was like, well, aren't you the guy that, like, why don't you want to do it? And he was like, I don't know if I'm sick of that loop, going around the same track, it's just boring. And I was like, hang on a minute. Aren't you the guy that's like a wizard at mindset? And isn't that just mindset? Just reframe things. And he was a bit like, And he kind of just walked away from me down the stairs. And I thought, all right, we'll leave it there. And then I think it played on you a bit, didn't it?
There was a few things what Gemma said, which was, it wasn't so much you can't do it, because that wouldn't have drove me at all. As long as I know I can do it, I don't need any validation off anyone else. It was the fact that she said some of those things were reframing things, which is what I teach. And when I looked at that, I thought, yeah, being sick of listening to that music over and over again, being sick of that route, is all in you. It's in your head. It's the meaning that you've give to that particular thing. So I thought, I'll see how I am tomorrow. I woke up and my body felt all right. So I thought, well, okay, I've just put it under quite a lot of stress. It feels all right. I'll give it a few days rest. And then I did something like another 80 miler or something on the bike. And I felt fine. So I thought, right, okay, let's push on for another week. I'll lift it up another level. I did, and my body was responding well to it. So I thought, right, come on, then let's do it.
Wow. Wow. It's really interesting though. So how did you find, okay, let's skip to the day of the event, because you brought it forward, didn't you?
Yeah.
What was the reason for that?
Because I was sick of training. I was sick of... That is the only reason. I was literally sick of doing them. You're having to train for 25 hours a week. I knew I was going to have to sacrifice all of my holidays, because we take 13 weeks holiday a year. And I knew I was going to have to sacrifice the whole of the 6 weeks holidays, eating certain food, training. And I just thought I'd rather be in a bit more pain on the event and be less prepared. So it was more relying on my mindset. I was definitely more prepared first time round physically.